HGC ANZ in 24 minutes. Get hype. There are going to be some fantastic games tonight. And with me, as you can see, is my amazing guest for the night, Deal.
I'm doing great, thanks, Mike. It's great to be here, and also it's incredibly exciting that we finally have our HGC Premier Division kicking off tonight. I'm so overwhelmingly excited for it. The games we have tonight, just for the games we have tonight, well, I think on stream do we have Nomia vs Outlaws and then Crimson vs GG go next?
That is correct. So the first game on the stream is Nomia vs Outlaws.
That one's actually going to be a really interesting one because we haven't really seen anything of Nomia all year. They didn't really play in the pre-season. We did see the other two pre-qualified teams, Outlaws and Crimson, play in that, and they put up good performances, and we can usually expect them to do quite well. So I'm very excited to see how this first match goes.
I apologise for the stream. Apparently my mic isn't working. My mic is working. Yes, I don't know what happened. I had this mic for a second. Yeah, the games tonight were between Nomia and Outlaws. The two top teams. We didn't get to see either of them in the previous. That's a pretty big thing. What have you been playing? We know that Outlaws is still
Oh yeah, they have been working on their team synergy, team coordination, just making sure that they are going to be on the same page, and I'm expecting them to come in very strong this season, and they'll be very much looking to take control of the top of the ladder with their very first game of the season.
Very different had previously so our predictions for tonight's games may have been slightly apologies for that. That being said, going into predictions for these two games, what are your thoughts?
Well, for the first one, I think it's very hard to look past Nomia. They're just an incredibly solid team from what we've seen from last year, and they have been one of the few teams that hasn't made any roster changes, which is one thing we really need to take into account, that they are a very good 5-man roster, and they haven't really shuffled up anything and are looking to come in very strong. But Outlaws, I think, could very well give them a little bit of run for their money.
It will be a very tight game. The other games we've got for tonight, playing at the same time, in fact, will be Gingeroo Next versus Downfall. Gingeroo Next were obviously the undefeated champions of the pre-season. Downfall making it
Yeah, I mean, Downfall... The thing with Downfall is that quite often throughout those qualifiers is that they found themselves in really strong positions but would always stumble on that final hurdle. It was a consistent thing that just kept on plaguing them over and over again. They did manage to get through and as you say, kind of squeak in towards the end, but they are a very strong team, and if they're able to curb that over-aggressiveness or just clean up a lot of that late game decision making, I think that they could actually be a rather strong team to go up against. And GG Go Next, they clean swept the whole of the qualifiers. So there's
guys,
no doubt that they are very strong.
Just quickly talking clean sweeps. A clean sweep of the music going off and your microphones going up would be awesome to everyone in chat. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
G'day, everybody. Shout out. Woo, get some.
I just saw that then. Been trying to multitask. I've got four monitors with stuff on every single screen, and I did have chat on in the background. Um, but yes, I do apologize that the music was way too loud for that. I should have been a little bit more careful with that. First night, first night. It's the first night of the show. Bound to be some teething issues. I can promise you that Thursday will be much, much better. And for the rest of the season, we will have some amazing episodes for you and a lot of reviews to be done.
I'm just happy that I get to be the test subject.
Yeah, yeah, the test subject. You're looking fantastic tonight, by the way, GL.
Oh,
I'm loving
thanks.
the grey suit. The red really suits you, and
Thank you.
your ventriloquist skills are phenomenal. Like,
Yeah, gonna have to bring this back because webcam was just screwing with all my audio settings, so I just didn't want to deal with all of that. So yeah, just going with the picture from last season. It was fun while it lasted, I guess.
Yeah. What are your thoughts for GG Go Next versus Downfall? They will be played off stream, so we will not have any live casting of them. But they'll be playing nonetheless. GG or Downfall?
I think I'm probably going to go more towards GG Go Next because, as I was saying earlier, Downfall, they are a reasonably strong team, but they always have those late game kind of blunders that really do have hindered them quite a bit over the qualifiers, whereas GG Go Next, yeah, they had that bit of a roster issue throughout those qualifiers, but they've consistently shown themselves to be an incredibly strong team, at least all of the bunch that were there. And I'm very much looking at them. Well, I'm just going to expect them to take these tonight.
Yeah, well, I tend to agree with you. I do love GG. They've been fantastic. Their story in itself has been a phenomenal one. We all know the story by now. If you don't, there's a lovely video on YouTube about that story. But you are right. Downfall do have those late game fade outs, if you, for lack of a better word, or unflazes. But
not to call anyone out.
No. Just it was just a word, GL there. Sorry. But GG Go Next. The one thing to talk about with them is that they have had 2 roster changes since preseason. So they went into preseason with their roster set as it was. Obviously, the mishap with Hacky leaving, Bouncy Knight filling in as a sub. They have a new roster, not new roster. They have another 2. They kept their core 3: Sailor, Doubt, and Azog. With Deceptive leaving, and yeah, we've got another 2 players that have come in to fill their spot. Those 2 players, Doubt. Doubt. Those 2 players, what do you think of them?
To be honest, I think that's a very strong lineup. So Doubt, Sailor, Like a Dog, Azog, and Dommy. So
Dommy and Like a Dog being the new 2, yes.
Exactly. So Dommy, I have been able to play with him for quite a while, and he has risen quite a bit over the past year, and he's shown himself to be a rather strong player, and it's nice to see him finally get picked up by a team, and he's got on a pretty good lineup. So very much, even though they did have those few roster shuffles, especially towards the end of the qualifiers, I think that's still a very strong lineup, and they'll be very formidable to go up against.
Yeah. The last game for the night, GL, is going to be GG Go Next again, and they're going to be streamed playing up against Crimson. The top, so Nomia and Outlaws and Crimson, the top 3 seeds for the tournament are all playing on night 1. It's pretty hype.
Oh yeah.
All 3 of those are being streamed as well, which is pretty hype. We're going to see Crimson, who finished 2nd, I believe, in seeds, going up against GG Go Next, who we will not have seen their previous game, the one that's off air. But still, we've seen a lot of them in preseason. We saw how strong and dominant they were. What are your thoughts going into this game between Crimson? Will it be a clean sweep, or will they put up a fight?
I think GG Go Next could put up a fight, but as I was saying earlier, we don't really know with the top 3 seeds because we haven't seen them play consistently over the past month or two as we have with the other 5 teams. So it's hard to really gauge where Crimson, Nomia, and Outlaws are. Crimson, we did see them play in the preseason tournament that we had, and they did actually take first place in that. So they are quite obviously a very strong team, and that was with their new lineup. So I'm going to be favouring Crimson a fair bit for this series, but we've been saying, it's like a lot of these predictions, at least for the first week or two, is just going to be a lot of spitballing and just not entirely sure where everything's going to be falling into place just yet.
Okay. What I'm going to do, GL, is I'm going to quickly switch screens. We're going to put up the caster predictions. Now, over the last couple of weeks, EJ in the background has been getting all the casters to throw together their predictions for the season. I would love to see what you guys in chat think about these predictions, and go from there as to who should be in it, if you think we're right, for one. Let's just cut straight to that now.
All right.
This is the caster predictions.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, that we do actually have Crimson. Well, the average at the end, looks like there's some weird numbers, but it's just the average number for each of the teams. So, just on averages, Crimson is predicted first, but they do have we're very much expecting them to be one of, if not the most dominant team coming into the season.
That
which is
true.
Quite interesting.
On top of that, you've got it looks pretty even. I mean, across the 8 teams that we've rated. If you look at the seeding being on the left-hand side there, you can see first and second seed being Crimson Nomia, 7th and 8th seed being Nekomimi, QM Warriors. 1 to 8, that's how they were seeded. If you have a look at how they are ranked, they're actually ranked by average, which is what we voted as casters and admin for who will be those players, right? Anyway, my point is that the average ranking matches the seeds exactly. There's no real differential
Actually,
across all of us.
Isn't this the ranking from these averages? Because Nomic was the number 1 seed, but in this they're ranked number 2.
Now I'm not sure, because I was under the impression and I was told that the left line was the seeded numbers.
I'm pretty sure that
Nomia were seeded number 1 as well, which made me question this a little bit.
They were in the runners-up last year, and because of the whole Darkside not being able to field their same roster, they ended up dropping down and everyone just moved up. So I'm pretty sure the seeding from last year was Nomia, Crimson, and Outlaws. Or something like that. But yeah, anyway, this is it's interesting to look at where some of these teams are falling. We're kind of, it's not too surprising to see Crimson, Nomia, and Outlaws high up on the list, considering they are the 3 pre-qualified teams, and we're expecting them to continue a lot of those strong performances. But it's interesting to see towards the lower end, where we're not really expecting all that much, or we're yet to be convinced so far from what we've been seeing from Nekomimi and QM Warriors.
I'm going to cut back to us now. Aside from the my misunderstanding of the sheet, I apologize. I literally got it 20 minutes ago to have a look at, so haven't really had much time in preparation. But do you think that those rankings are accurate for what we voted? Do you think, GL, that looked pretty right?
It looks pretty close. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few discrepancies from that. But in general, I think that's essentially where things might be falling.
Fair enough. What were your challenges, GL, in picking a top 8?
Well, mostly hadn't really seen a lot from the top three for the past couple of months. We saw Crimson and Outlaws. Pretty sure Outlaws both were playing in the pre-season. Outlaws was playing without one of their main players, so there was that whole thing where it was like we're not really sure the exact power level of them, but they were still very strong on the day. And Crimson taking that whole tournament does bode well for them coming into this season. That they are a very strong team, and their lineup is probably one of the strongest that we have. But no, it's just hard because we haven't really seen them in relation to the other teams over the course of the qualifier. Hard to gauge, is there a gap between those three and the rest, or where they're going to be falling in? So that was one of the biggest problems. And for the rest, like the 5 qualifying teams, it's a little bit easier because of just looking at the rankings at the end of the qualifier and just gauging how their wins came and whether or not they could have afforded to be a little bit higher as we get into the full round robin system. But it was just mainly those top 3 in relation to the rest that was really a little bit awkward to try and get my head around.
I tend to agree with you. I had the same sort of issue with mine. The top 3, because we haven't seen much of them, as you said, were the hardest for me to place in rankings. The rest of them almost just finished for me how they were in the pre-season. GL, I'm just going to quickly cut some breaking news. You might have seen it as well. I'm just going to pull this up on the screen real quick. It's just going to be a little thing sitting there next to you. There it is. So GG Go Next have picked up a sponsor or an org.
Great to hear.
They are now sponsored by Aztec Entertainment. As you can see from the little graph there, Azog, Domi, Lucca, and Sailor V have all had their name changes, so they all have AZT at the beginning. So it will no longer... Yeah, it won't be GG Go Next versus Crimson tonight. It will be Aztec.
Aztec.
Yeah.
It's very good to hear. I mean, that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to as we get more and more into the Premier Division, is that because there's this stability that we can start to get some of these sponsors in, and it's really exciting, really.
Jill, we've got 7 minutes left. Let's have a quick chat about the games that are, the game that is starting at 7:30 that's going to be on stream. Let's talk about Nomi vs Outlaws. Players to watch. Who should we be watching out for?
Players to watch. On the side of Nomi, of course, there's Fat94, who is big name in the scene. He's always a big personality and always a joy to watch. So there's always something interesting going on when you're watching Nomia, and especially Fat94. But on the other side for Outlaws, you always got to be a little bit wary of where some of these team comps end up going. And Outlaws, they've got a really solid lineup, but I'm just trying to think of where the big outstanding name would be. I mean, Lahala is a name that's been around for ages, as with Hiccup and Icebound Water. They're just the names that have been around for quite some time, and they're always just a joy to watch, really.
I think players to watch out for will be Penta and Icebold. Let's be honest, the battle of the tanks.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
They're both really good players. They're both amazing tank players, and I think that whichever player can do the best will probably win it for their team.
And it could very much come down to just priority over the Blaze.
Oh yeah, the Blaze has been really picked up. We saw a little bit of a video last week of Icebold with his Blaze escaping that pyro. It actually made it onto the hot WTF moments.
Blaze is just really, really good, and pretty much any of the tanks who are able to get a hold of that hero is going to be having a whole lot of fun with them.
Yeah, well, between those two teams, playstyles, what are you thinking?
To be honest, I'm not too sure, because as we've been saying, we haven't really seen a hell of a lot of these teams. But just going from a lot of the data we have is from last year. So it's really hard to say where these teams are at,
Mm.
like in terms of the play style. The closest we can really get an idea of would be Alice, because we did see them in the pre-season tournament, but as I said, they were without one of their players and were using a substitution. But there they were a very solid team, and they did make it, I think, at least in top 4.
Mm.
I'm just trying to think, but yeah, they were a very strong team. That were very much about the very good team cohesion, especially when it comes to the team fights. But up against Nomia, just going from last year, they were very, very good at mitigating losses and just making the most of those small advantages. We'll just have to wait and see how those two styles will match up.
Yeah. What about that last game between now Aztec and Crimson? Predictions, play styles, and
Well,
player to watch.
for Crimson and Aztec, so Crimson, if we want to keep on going with the whole tank style, I mean, KVA has been, I think, one of the best pickups, best rostered pickups for a team over the course of the off season, and it's really made this Crimson lineup into a real juggernaut. So
Hmm.
KVA on that front line is going to be a very big player to watch for Crimson, but for Aztec, I mean, just some of the newer players, Luckadog and Domi, just see how they react on the new environment, and how they can, if they can really match up to one of these juggernaut teams.
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? So
Mhm.
I'm putting a lot of pressure on tanks for tonight. I
Mhm.
don't know why. I love them, but I think that tanks are where it's at. So that's going to be the deciding factor. Whoever can play the better tank will win for their team. That's my predictions right there. We've only got 2 minutes left before the first game is live on Blizzard _ ANZ, twitch.tv, obviously.
Mhm.
So thank you, GLP, for being our first guest for the show. Thank you for helping me get through some of these teething issues, and I really look forward to seeing you on a couple of later episodes. It'll be fantastic throughout the season.
It'll be a lot of fun.
GLP, I'm throwing your Twitter up right now. Guys, if you want to catch Phoenix, his Twitter is up on screen right now for you. It is at GLPhoenix _. Please, please, please go give him a follow. Always great words of wisdom. One of the best analysts
They're
in
not always
Australia.
wisdom, especially on Twitter. On Twitter, they're not wisdom, it's just rambling.
A lot of rambling.
Let's be honest.
But yes. As well as that, I'd love to massive shout out to Gamester for letting me put this on. Please, they've been doing a lot of work to get this done. And the production value is phenomenal. We've got a much bigger workload this year than any other year we've ever had. The production value can see that. The guys have been working tirelessly. Please, give them a massive thanks. Give them a massive shout out. Gamester.com. You can catch their content on YouTube and Twitch, and please throw them a follow on Twitter and Facebook. Everything /Gamester. And the Calm Before the Clash, big thing to make note of. Calm Before the Clash is a weekly series of videos in both English and Spanish, highlighting results and stories of interest from both ANZ and Copa America leading up to the Intercontinental Clash at the end of this season. And that's being hosted by Vandy and Carolina. Vandy, as we know, is currently getting all prepped up for the mid-season brawl. Is it mid-season brawl or the Western Clash?
The Western Clash.
Western Clash, sorry, my apologies. Guys, please, we're switching over to that channel now. Twitch.tv/BlizzardANZ. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you coming to this first show. I know that it hasn't been the most enjoyable transition through the episode, but I promise that the next week and Thursday night's show will be a lot better and a lot smoother once we've got all this sorted. Thank you very much. We're going to move over to there now.